'Cause sooner than someday I'll start each day right by your side. I know it's been a long wait for us to finally start our lives together forever, chasing Jesus hand in hand. Sooner than someday.
Alrighty. We are go.
We are a go.
Go for episode 5 of the Sooner Than Someday podcast, yeah?
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just filling up content time. Okay. How you doing, honey?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not like I'm just seeing you for the first time this morning.
Yeah. We
It's-
kind of live together.
It's just radio banter, you know? What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on in the world at the moment? It's snowing.
It's snowing outside, so I'm happy.
You're happy about that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, welcome to Sooner Than Someday podcast.
Welcome back. Yes. Thanks for coming back. We love you guys.
Yeah. I'm Karis.
I'm Jeremiah. And this is the podcast.
This is the podcast.
So what do we got on the docket for today?
Oh, you want to start us off with a random topic?
Random topic. Okay. I think it would be fun if you just tried to rant about this with the first thing that came into your mind. If that's...
Okay.
All right. A pigeon suspected of being a Chinese spy is released by police in India after being detained for 8 months. Go.
Wow, that's a lot of information. Okay, first off, the controversy, no. What's the word?
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy that
Birds don't exist.
birds don't exist. They're just government spies. People actually think that if they're detaining a pigeon. And I have so many questions. What made them think that the pigeon was a Chinese spy? Where was this?
India?
India.
Do you want more context?
I don't know. I'm just...
So it was captured. It was found with 2 rings tied to its legs featuring Chinese words.
Okay. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary that a Chinese government would use a pigeon to spy on people. Like, I feel like that just makes a lot of sense. But the fact that they would put some sort of reference on the pigeon to tie back to them, that's just stupid. But they released it then?
They released it because it was cleared. It wasn't a Chinese spy.
It was just a pigeon?
It was a racing pigeon that had escaped.
A racing
What
pigeon?
does it say? It emerged that the creature was an open water racing bird from Taiwan, which had escaped and flown to India. Police then approved the bird's transfer to the Bombay Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, where doctors set free the falsely accused avian on Tuesday. I just searched random topics just for, if you're all wondering where I got this.
They race birds?
Apparently, pigeons at that. It's like, okay,
The
you want to race
stupidest
vultures,
bird.
eagles, condors, go for it. But pigeons,
That's just
I'd watch
weird.
chicken races,
Chicken races would be interesting.
like in the air. Like they can't move unless they're flying. So like they've got to
Chickens can't fly.
exactly. So they've got to like jump and then like flap as far as they can.
Oh my gosh, that is just bizarre.
It's like a sock hop, but with wings.
So you were like withholding information so that you could see what I thought.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
I specifically didn't tell you about that. So there you go.
That is just so weird. That poor pigeon. I'm shocked it lasted that long. 8 months?
8 weeks.
Oh,
Was it? No, it does say 8 months.
8 months for a pigeon to live. I don't know the lifespan of a pigeon, but they don't seem like very smart animals, and so they probably die pretty quickly.
Smart enough to race and win. And
Do you have to be smart, though, to race?
you have to be smart enough to know what that
To
you have
go
to get
forward.
there first. Yeah.
How do they get the birds to just fly straight?
It's a great question. Maybe they put some bird feed at one end of a racetrack or something and fire on the other end and say, death or life, go.
For a pigeon. Do you think they bet on that?
Oh, I'm sure.
Said aloud in Taiwan?
My prized pigeon is...
I've been raising this thing since birth.
He's the fastest pigeon since Sir Feathers the Great.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Sired from the great pigeon.
Okay, all right.
This could be a really big rabbit trail.
Well.
So there you go. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for that topic that I really didn't need to know, but like, yeah.
Anytime. What's next?
What's next? Oh. It's so weird moving from one topic to the other like this. What is God teaching you
What's
recently?
God teaching me recently? A lot. He's teaching me, gosh, every time I say these on the podcast, it sounds so cliche.
Yeah.
But he's teaching me the power of prayer.
Power of prayer.
Mm-hmm. And not as a last resort, but as a lifestyle. That everything needs to be begun with prayer. And so I'm trying to exercise that in our lives. And it brings a lot more meaning to... this is kind of another thing God's teaching me, but it's kind of tied in. Like, we were talking about modern worship songs. And you can study theology a lot, and then with that kind of comes a lot of baggage about the theology that's either good or bad of a lot of the people writing worship songs and stuff nowadays. So anytime I hear modern worship music, it's kind of taken with a grain of salt right up front, which is unfortunate because like it should be worshiping God without reserve.
Yeah. But especially depending on like who the artist is with the song.
Right. Yeah. So, some churches are crazy different, and some of them write really good worship songs, and the songs themselves aren't theologically bad. It's just where they come from kind of gives me a reservation about how much, like, I could sing it in my own personal worship time, but like if I were a worship leader, would I introduce this song into this set? Because I don't want people to look it up and then go and follow that route. But all that to say, our church has kind of changed how I'm viewing them, because they're choosing the lyrics of the songs, or the lyrics of the songs that they're choosing are so tied in with what they're teaching. So with this one and with the prayer aspect that God's been teaching me, songs like Battle Belongs. First heard it when Honor and Glory covered it, and then realized it was a Phil Wickham K-Love song.
Couldn't listen to the Phil Wickham version though.
Yeah, because Honor and Glory, it's the guys from the band Disciple. They did a worship cover album, and it's fantastic, and it ruined a lot of worship songs for me because I can't listen to any other versions now. Battle Belongs included. Yeah. But the lyrics, so when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Generic in my mind up until this study and revelation of prayer. It's like, no, I fight on my knees. Like this, it sounds so cliche, but it's exactly what I'm saying. It's everything happens with prayer, and God is the one who fights the battles. So we've been going through church of these stories in the Old Testament, where, for example, King Jehoshaphat in Israel or Judah, one of the two. I'm still not educated that much.
I want to say he's Judah.
Oh, that sounds right.
Because I'm literally going through all that right now. First Kings.
So, 3 other kings wage war on Israel, and news of it comes to wage war on Judah. Sorry, word of it comes to King Jehoshaphat, and he freaks out. The first thing he does, and he's one of the few godly kings in that.
He was a good king.
Yes, yeah. First thing he does is calls nationwide prayer and fasting. It's like, hey, like we're outnumbered, we're outgunned, outmanned, outsorted. They didn't have guns back then. We were outsorted, outspeared, and it's like that's his first course of action. It's not his. All right, I gotta muster the troops and get prepared. Like that certainly happened, but the first thing he did was pray, and then God gave him instructions, and they went up to fight. God gave them instructions to armor up, go up to fight, and show up to the fight. But God was like, I'm going to fight the battle for you. and literally the three armies destroyed themselves in Israel.
They didn't
Judah
have to-
didn't do a thing, but they had to obey.
I need to
Jehoshaphat, I think. Yeah.
King of Judah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I just had to make sure that we were talking about that correctly. Yeah, power of prayer is really important, and definitely I'm learning that too, just as we're going through it as a church. And it's just interesting how things can all be tied together. Like in our church services, we've been learning about prayer. In our personal lives, I feel like prayer has become very important. Like, even our church does once a month, a prayer and worship night. And so we went to that for the first time this month. And it was just incredible to just have a night filled with prayer and singing songs to glorify God.
Yeah. They say it's the most important night that the church gathers, even above Sunday mornings and above every other event. Just because if the prayer's not there, then everything that happens after that is a guessing game and hoping God will bless it. Whereas when you start with prayer, it's, God, what do you want me to do? Where can you use us to most glorify yourself? And then that obedience needs to happen, and then God will fight the battle for you. And it's kind of like what I was getting at, like Jehoshaphat and his armies, they had a command from God to armor up, show up to the army.
And they had every thought that they were going to have to go and fight it.
Right, yeah. God had still said, I'm going to fight the battle for you. But he's like, you guys got to go up to battle. And if they hadn't have done that, then God he wouldn't have fought the battle for them. So showing up to the battle is akin to prayer. And that's what I'm learning right now. And then, you pray, and then God gives you command that you obey.
Pray first.
Yes. And you listen, and whatever you think God's telling you, you do it. Because another thing he's telling me is that if you know what God wants you to do and you don't do it, that's a sin. If you wait to do it, if you push it off, that's a sin until you take care of it. So learning obedience, that's what God's been teaching me lately.
Well, like I said, I've been going through 1 Kings. And I don't have like a specific thing that I'm learning, but it's just interesting going through that book and seeing all the awful kings. There's so many that were just horrible. And they just kept coming up, and God was like, you know what? You're the worst of them all. And they just keep getting worse and worse and worse.
And he'd send prophets to tell them, hey, turn from your wicked ways.
Yeah. It's just interesting even back then, there were leaders who weren't good people.
Yeah. Well, we think our day and age is so unique.
Yeah. It's not.
It's not. There's nothing new under the sun.
No, there's not.
As our good friend Pastor Stu would say.
Yeah. Even way back when, there were bad people and
horrible things going on.
Yeah, bad leaders who were forcing the people of Judah or Israel to worship other gods and things like that. And so that's been interesting just to read all that. And this is a very interesting part of the book because I went through Judges, which is just God being like, Israel, you're doing bad. Like, all these things that they just kept getting wrong. And in your mind, you're like, guys, come on. Why can't you just pull it together? But then you look at your own life and you're like, oh.
Come on, why can't you just pull it together?
So it's an interesting part of the Bible, just seeing how rough it was for a long time.
It's quite a story.
It is.
It's history.
Yeah. The history.
Yeah.
Well, you like music, right?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Just a wee
Yeah?
smidgen bit.
Yeah? You want to talk about music today?
Sure. So there's this band we were listening. Did you have something specific you wanted to ask?
I can kind of help guide.
Okay.
The way.
Would you prefer to guide because I could rant?
No, yeah, let me. Let me just go.
Okay. All right.
So you're a musician. If our listeners don't know, Jeremiah is a pretty dang good musician too, in my opinion. He's had some bands throughout the years.
Only one that's really been amazing.
We don't need to talk about the others, I guess.
We probably have already talked about Atoned For.
I don't think we have.
Have we not?
No.
Okay. Well,
They probably know about Dead Set Saints, which we can talk about later.
okay.
But yeah, just how old were you when you started playing music?
So, oh gosh. I started piano lessons officially when I was 6.
Everyone starts with the piano.
Everyone should. Everyone who wants to be a good musician, start with piano. Because it plays into everything else that you learn in any other instrument. Especially if you're getting into guitar or even drums, like reading music, reading rhythms and knowing rhythms. Piano is the foundation, and I've been figuring this out lately as I songwrite. I've switched to playing on keyboard more to write, and I've been primarily a guitarist for how many years now, and I still, when I visualize notes and sharps and flats, I visualize them on a keyboard, not on a fretboard. And
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I just realized that because when I was starting to write these songs and I'm coming up with all these little ditties and videos I'm trying to make, like, I'm a lot more creative on the piano, which is really weird because I haven't touched it seriously. Like, even now I don't practice on it. I just mess around and
But you can still go crazy on it.
I mean, I guess I took 9 years of lessons.
Yeah.
From 6 to 15. And I wasn't really committed at the time. I'm wishing I was now, of course.
Yeah, we all do.
We all do, yeah. But, like, if I could have those lessons now, what would change? Like, I feel like I would actually see progress and whatnot. But, yeah, I started when I was 6 on piano because my whole family was musical.
Yeah.
My dad and my brother were drummers. My mom and my sister played guitar. And my dad and brother also dabbled in guitar. And,
So you started off with piano, then moved along to guitar and drums.
yeah. And I actually remember specifically, Mom was like, we got you a present. And she's like, I'll give you a hint. It's a musical instrument. And I'm like, drums, guitar. No. I'm so excited. It was like any of them I would be happy to play. And then my grandpa's old piano was in my bedroom. And I was like, oh.
A piano. Lovely.
Yeah, no, that was a good gift from my parents that I am thankful for. And we need to figure out how to move that over to our house.
Yeah, I would like to have a piano in the house.
And they don't want it in their house. We just need a spot for it.
Yeah.
Right here. Just kidding. That's a tangent. But yeah, so that's how it started.
Yeah. I too took piano lessons for a while. My mom taught piano, and so she taught all of us kids, and I was never like fully into it, which I regret fully now. Like I wish I had kept going with piano. But it was interesting how it kind of fashioned my musicalness. Not that I have much musicalness,
but you at least had a music education.
Yeah, so from learning piano when I was probably like 5 or 6, I started. I learned the notes and the, what the heck is it called?
The keys and the rhythm. The staff.
The staff.
Reading music, yeah.
Yeah, reading music. So rhythm and all the notes, reading it on a staff. Which came in handy later on when in middle school and high school I was in choir. And I was one of the few that could sight read music. Because I knew from like the line to the space was one of.
See, I'm not even versed in it. I was never good at sight reading. 9 years of piano lessons and I played as much as I could by ear. I tried to figure it out based off the rise and fall of the notes. Anyways.
Yeah, but like I could read music, I could read the rhythms, I could read the notes. And I feel like that was just because of learning piano for 3 years I maybe did it. And then it just didn't end well because I was sassy and it was my mom teaching me. So it's like, I don't want to practice. But yeah, now I've dabbled in guitar, and you're trying to teach me drums. And so kind of has helped me that I know rhythm and
you've gotten a lot
understand
farther on guitar than a lot of people get.
Well, thank you.
Because, like, chord positions and finger strength, it just stops.
It's hard.
It stops so many people. It's a hump to get over, and you really have to build up the hand strength. And if you don't, it's frustrating.
Yeah. And it definitely goes away because I haven't played guitar in a while, and I just picked up your acoustic, I think, not too long ago, and I was like, my fingers hurt after playing 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, so you learn music at a young age, and now, as an adult, you're trying to pursue music as a career, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. So how does a musician make money? Like, how are you making money as this? Or how do you how do you hope to
Charity.
do it? Charity.
You get another job. No, that's how it is right now. And that's how it is for a lot of people. You know, you work to support it until it can support you. And I've given varying levels of effort to that. And I have another really good job right now, so it's not like a necessity.
Yeah.
Aside from my own desire to do it. But you got to get creative, and a lot of times it's you become a self-educated business person in all these different aspects of things. In order to do it nowadays, it's not about writing a good song and finding a record label anymore. I mean, that still happens, but then, you know, people, you know, get slave to the label and or it just doesn't do much for them.
Right.
You really have to generate everything yourself. And it involves becoming a marketing specialist, social media, and then if you can handle it, like producing and mixing and learning to record your own music and get it to a professional level. There's that, and then there's all the business and accounting of things, and it, as you scale it up, all of those things need to be handled, and you're not really ever at a place where you can outsource it. It's like if you've got other band members who are passionate about it, they're taking it, or a supportive wife, you like to help out with things as much as you can.
I mean, I got a degree in marketing, so I like to think I'm kind of a good asset to the band.
I'm married up.
It's just in my dreams to become a person in a band. So here I am doing marketing for them. So let me ask you, you do have a band, Desert Saints. How much of a percentage would you say you get from doing gigs? Like,
as far as like what's paid to me?
Yeah, because a lot of the gigs you do, people will have to buy tickets.
Yeah.
But they'll be at these like crappy bars. Not crappy bars, but like dingy little places.
Yeah.
But we'll get a decent crowd.
We'll get a decent crowd. Yeah, we'll get a decent payout. I mean, you know, it depends on where you, how you book it. You know, the way we started out was with, you know, there's a couple companies out there who will say, hey, if you can sell tickets, we'll let you play, kind of thing. And we'll give you 10% of the sales. And that'll go up based on how many tickets you sell, pretty much.
The percentage?
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes you can't play unless you sell a certain amount of tickets, right?
So it's kind of, it's still, you don't have to pay any money up front necessarily, but some companies will make you, like, buy the minimum amount of tickets you have to sell, either up front, or if you don't sell them, you have to buy them, or else you can't play, kind of thing. And so that's how we started out. And that's a good way to get experience playing and cut your teeth.
Yeah.
Which is good, because bands suck when they start.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of kinks to work out.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not just about playing the parts correctly. It's about being an entertaining thing that people want to come see.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we've really tried to invest in as a band. Like, okay, we've worked on our backing track rig. We try and bring our own programmed lights that are synced up when we can make it happen. And, you know, a lot of thought goes into the set list and like, how is the transition going to work? And how are we going to make this something that people remember?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about, they're not just coming to hear the music necessarily. A lot of times this is the first time they've ever heard us.
Yeah.
And then they'll go check us out if we're lucky.
Yeah.
But as far as the pay goes, that was a little bit of a tangent.
No, that's good. That's good.
You start out with those pay to play type things, and then some other gigs around town that we've done are similar. They'll pay you based on how many tickets you sell, but they'll ask you up front, like, hey, how many do you think you can bring in? And then, do you have any other bands that you've played with before? And so you kind of have to build the show yourself. And,
Have a lot of connections, too.
And, right. Yes, having connections is great. And that's an interesting thing, because Dead Set Saints is a ministry. It's a Christian band. And I'm trying to find the line between becoming all things to all people. You know, we're not going to not play in any specific place just because we're a Christian band. But we also, like, if a band is advocating for something ungodly, then it's like, where do we draw that line of working with them?
Yeah.
And are we cutting ourselves off at the knees, or are we just trusting God to do what he wants us to do? So that's a whole other aspect of it. But so there's that level, and then there's the level of, like, you're a big enough band where, like, you being the only act is enough reason for a venue to book you. Yeah. You can bring in as many people as you want for a 2-hour show. We didn't even have 45 minutes of music written for our first few years of gigging, because we had one 6-song EP. Right. Now we have a few more songs we can throw in there, and now there'll be songs we don't play at gigs. It's like every gig was like our whole EP for the longest time, because we're just trying to fill up the time slot. Yeah, but it's definitely fun, and you do get a good payout if you put in the work. Even on the pay-to-play ones, like, we were selling 50 tickets and we'd make a few $100 that night. And for some kids starting out in a band, you're like, oh, like a few $100. And, you know, you could either split that through a few ways, but most of it just went straight back into, let's buy some merch, or let's buy a new piece of gear for us. And, or let's put it towards recording.
Right. Yeah. So you touched on this a little bit, but I'd kind of like you to go a little bit more into how Dead Set Saints is more of a mission rather than a career in your mindset, and like how that kind of works, and how you go forward with something like that.
Yeah, still learning.
Yeah.
Because there are bands that we look up to and that have mentored us that are doing the ministry thing. And
as a career. They live off of it. Now, a lot of them have wives that are making way more than they do and stuff like that too. But some of them don't. Is it biblically correct for the wives to be the breadwinner of the family?
It isn't traditional, I'll say that. As long as the kids are taken care of and not neglected.
True.
If the dad's always on the road and the mom's always at the office, that's not a good model.
Yeah.
So that's something to. That's a whole nother tangent. But these guys that we look up to make it happen, so we know it's possible. And some of them do live off of music alone, and they're just, like I was kind of saying, they're good entrepreneurs using all of their skills, and they get multiple streams of income. So you could be a touring musician for your band, you're a session musician and filling in for other bands as much as your schedule allows. You become like, if you gotten to the point with your own band where you can produce your own stuff, then market that skill out to other bands.
So not just have one specific thing you want to do, but be more broad in what you can do, filling in for other bands.
Right. And at the very least, like, you know, give lessons. You have the skill, teach it to other people. Like, that's basically what I see these guys doing. And then you can get to like Patreon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If enough people are interested in what you do, and if you have the time and dedication to invest in those people because they're investing in you. Ministry. Wow. Ministry. That's what we were talking about. The point of Dead Set Saints is to be obedient to God. He gives us songs that we feel are encouraging to people and point people to him. It's not just worship songs. It's songs that are about life and reality, but through the lens of how God wants us to view them.
Speaking of that, some of your new songs that are coming out are really geared, because you said you have 2 songs for the unbeliever and 2 songs for the believer.
Yeah, and
coming out.
that wasn't necessarily intentional, but that's definitely how it came out.
Yeah.
2 songs that are like pleading for you to come to Christ, and like, hey, my God is there with open arms to welcome you. And another one about why we do what we do, because there's there's rewards and consequences for not realizing the reality of God, and accepting that and living for Him. And so those are the 2 songs for the unbeliever, and then the 2 songs for the believer are, one is real introspective, based off this reality of God who sent his son and died in our place and showed us this immense mercy. Why do I not live for him? Kind of thing, that one. And then another one about the hustle and bustle of life, or even ministry, getting so invested in what you're doing that you forget, even if you're doing it for God, you forget to be with God, and you burn yourself out. So it's a song about resting in God, kind of seek Him first, and all these things will be added to you mentality. So this next batch of songs is a lot of what the mission of Dead Set Saints is.
I really respect one thing that you guys do at your shows too, that kind of goes along with the mission, is that you always are preaching the gospel whenever you're playing a show, which is really cool. Kind of, no matter where you are, it could be a grungy bar place, or it could even be a youth event or a church event. You're always preaching the gospel, which I think is really cool.
And that is the whole purpose of why we're there.
Yeah.
I like to go and play a show. When I'm with other bands, I like to go and play with them. But the purpose of Dead Set Saints is to share the gospel with everyone who's in there. And at the bars, it's actually easier because you pretty much have a good idea that
it's just straight gospel.
Yeah, it's easy to not saying that everyone at the bar is unsaved, but that, it's not expected for people to be saved when they walked in, kind of thing, as it is with the church. So when you are playing at a church or Christian event, it's like you need to. I tailor what I say more towards encouraging people to live out their faith. Live like they believe.
Live like they believe.
Foreshadowing.
You hear it first on our Sooner Than Someday podcast. Ooh.
Yeah. That's really where the mission of Dead Set Saints lies. And as far as making a career out of it, that's all up to God. I am just obedient in writing songs and performing them. I need to be better at doing that, because that's not a natural thing for me, is to call up other bands and be like, hey, you guys want to put together a show? And
it's definitely pushing you out of your comfort zone, being the lead guy.
Yeah, it really is.
So if you're looking for a Christian band to play in, hit up Jeremiah Miller. He's looking for someone.
deadsetsaints@gmail.com.
He's looking for either a bass player, a singer, a guitar player.
That is a whole nother conversation about a singer, but sure. Yeah, if you can sing and you like our music.
If you can scream.
If you can scream, that's a big plus.
Marco
Pera. Hit us up, man. That man can...
You can scream. I can whisper scream.
Yeah, that's how everyone starts, I think.
So, Dead Set Saints has new music coming out, which we've discussed.
Uh-huh.
You went to Nashville.
We did. We
Like a big band.
Yeah. It's funny because we're not a big band.
No, you're not.
We just know big people.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a buddy out there. He's the guitarist for a band called Disciple. His name is Andrew. And
Andrew Stanton.
Andrew Stanton. He's...
Not the Disney Andrew Stanton.
Yeah. If you watch like any Pixar movie, Andrew Stanton's in the credits. I only noticed that because
Different
we
guy.
know this guy. He's a fantastic guitarist, and he's a really fantastic producer. And he's produced all of our music up to this point.
Yeah.
I got to know him by doing online guitar lessons with him.
Lessons.
Yes. See, he was doing the producing, and he was doing the lessons, and he was doing the touring, and he was doing stuff with other bands. And so he's a good example of how to make all that happen.
Yeah. So you were out there for... Well, we both were out there.
Yes.
I went along with and just lived my vacation life.
Yes.
But you were working. And we were out there for a week and a half.
Wake up at 8 in the morning,
Yeah.
do breakfast, and then go to the studio till 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you had like a full work day. Did you like that?
I do like that. I like it a lot.
Like it was a work day, but of things that you
Of
enjoy
music
doing.
stuff, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's you know, what's the word? Mundane moments of the day, like, oh, we're tuning this one note to play because the intonation on that specific guitar is a little off, but we want the tone of those pickups, and so we're going to use that guitar. But we're so many little things like that. So there's a lot of repetition and repetitiveness, but I'm so happy with how these songs sound.
Yeah.
They have a life to them that the first EP was good, but something's different about these ones in the production or the recording or something. And I don't know what it is, but just these rough mixes we've been listening to are fantastic.
Yeah.
So
they really do sound great.
I'm
And they're
just
not even fully finished.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to pump the brakes in my mind. It's like, this is great. I don't want to change anything else.
Yeah.
There's still one more first mix we have to get back out of the 4 songs we recorded.
I really hope the microphone just picked up that crack there.
The fact
of your
that I
neck.
popped my neck.
That was ridiculous. Anywho,
We can
sorry.
go back and
that
replay
was,
it.
Yeah. They sounded amazing. And, we're getting the deep scoop here, folks.
Yeah.
So let's finish up this conversation with, what are your dream goals as a musician?
To not stop. That's kind of been my mission with Dead Set Saints. However small it or big it gets, is to not stop. But gosh, I could never give up playing with people and writing. That's my outlet on how I create and get stuff out, and that's how I feel like God uses me. I mean, and if God
and you
were
have
to,
amazing gifts for that.
they're His gifts.
Yeah.
And if He were to ever say, "All right, pack it up," and now you're a professional, I don't know, clockmaker. I looked at some on the wall.
Professional light bulb guy.
I am a professional light bulb guy. That's what pays for the music.
It's how
If
we
you
can
need
go
lights.
to Nashville.
Yes, it is.
So, do you have specific things you want to do? Like,
I personally,
being a producer, or a teacher, or what have you.
I'm open to all of those things. Specifically, like one thing I want to do, at least to say I tried it, is tour. Go on a run for however long and however big. Like,
Oh boy,
oh boy,
I'm gonna be a tour wife.
you gonna be a tour manager for me?
Oh,
Do you want to book all the shows?
sure.
Okay, alrighty. Business meeting on camera. No, I think that's like a bucket list item for me because this whole conversation puts on a very inflated view of how much music I do. I think it's my biggest hobby, and there's a lot of, we put a ton of effort into getting these songs out and playing shows and stuff. But no, we haven't toured yet.
Yeah,
that's
you've
one
just
thing.
played a couple local shows.
Yeah.
Wow,
Locale shows.
I can't talk. Local shows.
Yeah, and we love them and we have fun, but
Yeah.
touring is something we've never done. So
That would be cool.
So saying that touring is a bucket list item kind of tells you I'm a young musician.
Yeah.
So
That's okay.
yeah, that is okay. But as far as specific goals, I am open to a lot. And
That's
maybe
good.
I think it is good because it means I'm probably not disappointed very much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe that keeps me a little idle and not actually shooting for specific goals. So
But if something comes along, you're flexible and taking things on.
Yeah, true. So if another group asks me to play, that's one thing. Like, if I think of something that would be cool, this isn't necessarily a goal, but it would be cool if this happened, is if Dead Set Saints got, going pretty well, and I got to a point where I felt like I could keep up with, like, if any of these bands that mentor us were to ask me, hey, like, are you available to go on a tour, like, at my current point in time, and maybe this is just me being self-critical, but I don't know if I could keep up, like, skill-wise, because they're fantastic, and that's where I want to be able to be flexible.
Yeah.
Is they say, hey, we need a guitarist for this night or this run, jump on in, and I'd be like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So do that and cut my teeth a little bit more, learn about the touring model that way from bands who do it DIY, from bands who have a little bit more of a management structure, and then come back and bring that to Dead Set Saints. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just need to
Awesome.
make sure I'm prepared should that opportunity ever
Yeah.
come.
You are doing a really good job, though, just what you're doing. And
It means a lot.
yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
So, do you have a dad joke to end us off with?
Yes. And this
I'm
one's,
scared.
well, it's the one that I told you.
I thought you weren't going to do that
I
one.
didn't want to, but I didn't have a chance to think of another one. Here, let's see what I can find real quick. The doctor just told me that I'm colorblind. The news came completely out of the purple.
Oh my gosh. Came out of the purple.
Ta-da!
Good job. You made me laugh.
Thanks.
Well, if you like this episode, go ahead and like it, rate it,
Subscribe.
comment what you think we should do better.
Yeah.
Topics you want us to discuss.
Yes, yeah. If you got something you want us to discuss that you think would be entertaining,
Yeah.
write it out.
As you can see, if you are actually watching us on YouTube, we have now started doing video. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Hit the notification bell.
hit the notification bell.
Like the video, and if you dislike the video, we really appreciate criticism. So make sure you hit that dislike button twice.
Wow. I can't believe you just said that.
You get it?
No, I get it. I get it. I was definitely going to say something. Oh, we also have an Instagram, Sooner Than Someday Pod. If you want to go ahead and follow us there too. We might have some information, updates, what
Yeah.
have you there.
Well, yeah, and it's another way to get informed if there's a new episode.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yep, that 5 episodes in. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you again sooner than someday.
Sooner than someday.